Have you ever been judged in a single moment, before anyone even took the time to know your story? Before they saw the years of struggle, the silent sacrifices, the endless nights of worry, or the quiet strength it took just to keep showing up every single day. Because sometimes the harshest doors in life are closed not because you don't belong there, but simply because someone else decided you didn't. They made a quick judgment based on appearance, clothes, or the car you drove, never bothering to look deeper. If stories like this touch your heart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your own thoughts in the comments below. Your support means the world. Welcome to Echoes of Stories, where every story reminds us that kindness still matters in a world that often forgets. It was a warm, golden afternoon in Los Angeles. The sunlight danced off the towering glass buildings and the polished hoods of luxury cars, creating a dazzling but distant shine. For people like Daniel, this kind of world often felt just out of reach. Daniel stood outside the upscale luxury car dealership, gently holding his young daughter Lily's small hand. Lily clutched her worn but beloved stuffed rabbit tightly against her chest. Her wide, curious eyes scanned the gleaming vehicles visible through the large glass windows. She wore a simple, slightly faded dress that had been washed many times, but it was clean and neatly ironed. Daniel's own clothes told their own story, a worn button-up shirt with sleeves rolled up to his elbows, faded jeans, and work boots still carrying the dust and marks of long, hard hours on construction sites and in his garage. "Daddy," Lily whispered softly, tugging his hand with a mix of excitement and nervousness, "are we really going inside?" Daniel looked down at her innocent face and offered a gentle, reassuring smile. "Yeah, sweetheart. We're just going to look. No harm in looking, right?" Deep inside, he wasn't entirely sure. He knew how these places worked. Still, for his daughter's sake, he took a deep breath and pushed open the heavy glass door. The moment they stepped inside, the atmosphere felt completely different. The showroom was spacious and quiet, almost reverent. Rows of luxury cars gleamed under bright, perfectly positioned lights. Salesmen in sharp tailored suits moved confidently between the vehicles, speaking in low, polished tones to well-dressed customers. The air smelled of new leather, expensive cologne, and wealth. Almost immediately, they received the look. A sharply dressed salesman in his mid-30s approached them. His eyes quickly scanned Daniel from head to toe, taking in his worn shirt, dusty boots, and Lily's simple dress. The judgment was instant and unmistakable. It was the kind of look that needed no words. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone polite on the surface but cold and distant underneath. Daniel nodded politely. "Yeah, I just wanted to take a look at a few models. Maybe talk about some options if that's all right." The salesman's lips tightened slightly. "These vehicles are premium," he said carefully, his voice carrying a hint of condescension. "Prices start well above six figures. They're not exactly entry-level cars." Daniel felt the weight of those words press against his chest, but he kept his expression steady. "I understand," he replied calmly. Lily squeezed her father's hand tighter, sensing the tension even if she couldn't fully understand it. The salesman forced a thin, insincere smile. "Maybe you'd be more comfortable at a different dealership down the street. We wouldn't want to waste your time, or ours." His eyes seemed to finish the sentence with silent dismissal. Daniel's jaw tightened. He had faced this kind of treatment many times before, not just today, not just in this dealership, but in many places throughout his life. Every single time, it stung just as sharply. "We're fine, thank you," Daniel said quietly, trying to remain composed. But the salesman stepped closer and lowered his voice. "Sir, honestly, this place isn't really for people like you." The words landed like a hard slap across the face. Lily looked up at her father, her eyes now filled with confusion and a trace of fear. Daniel exhaled slowly, his pride battling with his patience. He didn't want to argue or cause a scene, especially not in front of his daughter. Not over a man who had already made up his mind about who they were. "Come on, Lily," he said gently, his voice soft but heavy. They turned and began walking toward the exit. But just as they reached the door, a clear, confident voice rang out behind them. "Wait." The single word was calm, firm, and carried natural authority. The entire room seemed to shift. A woman descended from the upper-level office area where she had quietly been observing everything. She was dressed simply but elegantly, a tailored blouse and trousers, and walked toward them with purpose. The salesman straightened up immediately, looking nervous. "Ma'am, I saw," she interrupted firmly. She turned her full attention to Daniel and Lily. Her expression softened noticeably. "I'm truly sorry about that," she said with sincerity. "Would you mind staying for just a moment?" Daniel hesitated, unsure what was happening, but something in her tone felt different, genuine. He nodded slowly. The woman walked past them toward the large glass windows overlooking the parking lot. She looked outside for a moment, then turned back. "Is that your truck parked across the street?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "Yes, ma'am." It was an older truck, slightly rusted in places, with tools and equipment stacked neatly in the bed. It wasn't flashy, but it was reliable and his. The woman smiled faintly. "I thought so." She turned to the salesman. "Do you know what that truck actually is?" The man frowned, confused. "It's old." "No," she replied clearly. "That truck has a custom-built engine, reinforced suspension, and hand-assembled modifications that most professional mechanics wouldn't even attempt. It's a masterpiece of personal engineering." The salesman blinked, completely caught off guard. She looked back at Daniel with respect in her eyes. "You built it yourself, didn't you?" Daniel was surprised but nodded. "Yeah, took me a few years, working on it during nights and weekends." The woman smiled, this time with real admiration. "I've seen vehicles worth millions of dollars on this floor that don't come close to that level of craftsmanship and attention to detail." The entire showroom fell silent. The salesman's confidence had completely crumbled. The woman stepped closer to Daniel. "My name is Claire," she said. "I'm the CEO of this company." Daniel's eyes widened in surprise. "And I care very deeply about the kind of people we welcome here," she continued, "because it reflects everything about who we are as a brand." She turned sharply toward the salesman. "And today, we failed. Badly." The salesman stammered, I didn't mean." "You meant exactly what you said," Claire replied calmly but firmly. "And that is the problem." Lily held her father's hand tighter, but her fear was slowly turning into curiosity as she watched the scene unfold. Claire knelt down gently to Lily's eye level. "Hi there, sweetheart," she said warmly. "That's a very nice bunny you have." Lily smiled shyly. "Thank you." Claire stood up again and turned to Daniel. "If you're still interested, I would love to personally show you around the showroom." "No pressure at all, just respect." Daniel looked at his daughter, then back at Claire. For the first time since they had walked in, he finally felt seen, truly seen. "Okay," he said quietly. "Thank you." What followed was far more than a simple car tour. Claire walked them through the entire showroom, explaining every detail of the vehicles with genuine enthusiasm and knowledge. But more importantly, she listened. She asked Daniel real questions about his work as a mechanic and fabricator, about the truck he had built with his own hands, and about his life. For once, Daniel wasn't speaking as someone being judged, he was speaking as someone being valued and respected. Lily even got to sit inside one of the luxury cars. Her bright laughter echoed through the showroom, filling the space with a warmth that no amount of money could ever buy. By the end of the visit, Daniel didn't purchase a car that day. But he didn't leave empty-handed. He left with something far more valuable, his dignity restored, a sense of respect, and a powerful reminder that true kindness doesn't come from someone's status, wealth, or appearance. It comes from choice. As Daniel and Lily stepped back out into the warm Los Angeles afternoon, Claire stood by the window and watched them go. She knew that something important had been restored that day, not just a potential customer relationship, but a simple human connection. And inside that luxury showroom, things would never quite be the same again. Because one single moment of kindness had quietly rewritten the rules. So the next time you see someone who doesn't seem to belong at first glance, pause and take a second look. You might just be looking at someone truly extraordinary. And your kindness could be the moment that changes everything.